Are you done? Done with the drama, the disappointments, the same conversations that never go anywhere? Tired of thinking it's everyone else, but somehow you're still the one feeling anxious, unheard, or just stuck? Stay with me, because this might be the first time it finally makes sense. In this video, I want to offer you the simple practice I've used to shape how I live, love, and find peace. And every time I drift from this, life gets harder, heavier, and far more complicated than it needs to be. It's a simple but powerful way to see what's really going on underneath it all. There are only two emotional states we are operating from, just two. Every thought, every reaction, every choice we make is coming from one or the other. One is fear and one is love. They are the exact opposites. Most of us think our emotions are about other people.
What they did, what they said, what they didn't give us.
But the truth is, your emotional state is yours. It's never really about them. It's about how you're experiencing yourself in that moment with them. And I know when I say fear, you might not think it applies to you. But fear isn't always panic or terror. Fear looks like control, overthinking, jealousy, resentment, perfectionism, judgment, and even silence. It's what shows up when you're trying to protect yourself, prove yourself, or avoid being hurt again. Love, on the other hand, isn't just romance and kisses. It's clarity, compassion, boundaries without rage. It's peace without needing to be right. So for today, I want to introduce you to this simple idea. You are always in one of two bubbles, fear or love. Now, learning to tell the difference will change everything. Because here's the truth. You don't get to skip the lesson. You don't get to opt out of growth. But you do get to choose how you learn, through joy or through pain. And that choice doesn't just shape your experience. It shapes how long the lessons take and how hard it is. Choose love and the lessons lighten. It moves through you with grace. It opens doors. It brings peace faster. Choose fear and everything slows. And the healing, the clarity, the connection takes forever. Pain sticks around. The confusion lingers. The resentment hardens. And sometimes the very thing you want the most stays just out of reach, not because it isn't meant for you, but because fear keeps you from receiving it. Life will keep handing you the same test until you pass it, not to punish you, but to free you. So the real question isn't, will I grow? It's, how long do I want this to take? And once you learn to tell the difference, you'll start noticing it everywhere, in your relationships, your reactions, your inner dialogue. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. For 30 years, I've worked and lived in a love bubble. And weddings are a love bubble. It's one of the few times in life where people make a conscious choice to show up, to celebrate, love, to be present, to rise above daily stresses, to offer kindness, support, joy, gifts. They set aside their drama, their judgments, their distractions, because the day calls for love. They dress up, they show up, they listen better, they hug longer, they celebrate, and not because anyone told them to, but because they choose to. And that's a love bubble, and I live in it. I've worked in it for decades. I've witnessed and documented hundreds of thousands of people who rise to the best version of themselves because the environment asked for love and they answered with an RSVP. And here's what I do know. That choice isn't reserved for weddings. It's a choice we can make every single day. Because no matter where you are or what you're facing, you are only ever operating from one of two emotions, fear or love. That's it. And most people bounce between the two.
Fear bubble, love bubble, fear bubble, love bubble, fear bubble, love bubble, over and over.
And it's exhausting. But I've lived it both ways. And I can tell you with absolute certainty, when I'm in the love bubble, life flows. And when I'm not, everything feels heavier, harder, more chaotic, and comes with a dull ache that no amount of justification makes easier. That's why I'm here. This is a practice I've learned, lived, and now teach. I can spot it instantly, what bubble someone is in, because I've trained myself to see it clearly. Not to criticize, not to even fix it, just to recognize it with love. Because once you see life through the eyes of love instead of fear, your entire world rearranges itself around that vision. I've watched it happen in my own life. I've seen it transform so many others. And I've also seen what happens when someone chooses to stay in fear. Because fear teaches too, eventually. But it takes longer, and sometimes the same lesson shows up again and again, just wearing a different outfit. So when I recognize the bubble someone is in, I don't see a problem to fix. I see a person who's capable of peace. I see a pattern that can shift. And I see a life that can feel entirely different if they're willing. And the more you practice choosing love, the more self-aware you become. Even if you still choose fear sometimes, you'll know. And knowing is everything. Because once you know where you are, you're no longer lost. You're just deciding. The fear bubble is sneaky though. It looks like overthinking, it sounds like control, it dresses up as perfection, resentment, comparison, but at its core it's fear. And that fear becomes the filter for everything. How we talk to people, how we respond to stress, how we talk to ourselves, how we see ourselves in the mirror. And that's why I'm doing this, because I've seen who you really are when you choose love. And I want to help you live there more often. So let's start here. Every single moment, you're operating from one of two emotional states, fear or love. There's no in between. You're always in one bubble or the other. Imagine two clear bowls sitting on a table. One is labeled love and the other is labeled fear. Now picture this. You're holding a slip of paper, and on it is a feeling, a thought, a behavior, something real. Let's just say jealousy. What bubble does that go in? Fear. You know it. It's fear that you're not enough. Fear that someone else has something you'll never get. Fear that love is scarce or that you're not worthy of having it. Well, let's try another one. Compassion. What bubble does that go in? Love. It's seeing pain underneath someone's behavior. It's responding without needing to punish. It's soft but strong. That's love. Control, fear. Blame, fear. Gratitude, love. Trust, love. Perfectionism, fear. Softness, love. See how quickly your body already knows? That's the beginning of this whole practice. You don't need to fix your entire life today. You just need to start asking one question. What bubble does this go in? Not, how do I fix this? What's wrong with me? Why does this keep happening? Just, what bubble am I in? And when you name it, you can shift it. Not by force and not with shame, just by choosing again. You don't need to shame yourself for being in fear. It's not wrong. It's just not home. It's not where your peace lives. Once you identify the bubble, you can choose again. And yes, at first, this will feel awkward, like trying to work a muscle you haven't used before. But just like a workout, you get stronger every time you show up. You don't need it to be perfect. You just need to practice. You can come back to this anytime. Think of it as a little emotional workout, a love bubble jumpstart. Because this isn't just self-help. This is truth with a capital T. And the more you practice, the more natural it gets. The more love becomes your default. So the next time you feel triggered, disappointed, overwhelmed, or just off, pause, breathe, and ask, what bubble am I in? And do I want to stay here? Because the moment you ask that, you're already on your way back to love. Sometimes this meets resentment. People say, well, you can't just let people walk all over you. That's so naive. What if they take advantage of you? And I get it, but I can promise you, I've walked this way for most of my life, and you gain nothing by trying to convince people you're stronger by choosing love. You gain nothing by trying to prove your point or winning the argument. It never gives you what you really want. But you know what does? Choosing love over fear. And once you get a taste of that, once you feel what it's like to live in peace inside your own body, you won't want to go back to the old patterns because your relationships start to change. People feel different, not because they've changed, but because you don't need them to anymore. You stop trying to fix them or decode them. You see their bubble, and you stop carrying their chaos inside your body. You become the example, the magnet, and that's the real power. When you live in a love bubble, you discharge all that static, anxious energy. You stop chasing, you stop defending, and people feel it. They're drawn to you, or they're not, but either way, you have peace. That's what we're doing here. It's a kind of community I'm wanting to build. Not just a space to vent or judge, though there's plenty of places for that, but a place to ask better questions, to see with clearer eyes, and to stop living from fear just because that's what everyone else is doing. Next week, we're going to talk about the magnetic pull, how you're either attracting or repelling things based on the bubble you're in. I'm really excited about that one because it'll show you a simple visual that will make you go, oh, I get it. So if you want to live in your love bubble, if you want peace without needing everything and everyone to be perfect, stick around. We're not here to pretend everything's fine. We're here to see clearly and choose love anyway. Because once you know what bubble you're in, everything starts to shift. And this is the beginning. So drop a comment below and tell me what hit home for you. Watch this next video about how to marry yourself. I think you're going to like it. I'll see you in the bubble.